The first phase of any project is planning. This is the stage when you will develop your ideas of what you want to make and narrow them down into the final idea. This stage ensures the game development process begins on solid footing, with a clear understanding of the game's direction and feasibility. Pickle states that planning is made up of two stages, ideation and proofing a concept. The ideation stage is when you and or your team create the idea which will act as the backbone for the project. In this stage, Pickle proposes 8 questions that you should answer. These questions are: what type of video game are we producing? Will it be 2D or 3D? What are some of the key features it must have? Who are its characters? What gameplay mechanics to include? When and where does it take place? Who is our target audience? Which platform are we building this on? I believe that these will be very useful questions to ask myself during the planning stage, as they cover a broad range of basic but important aspects of a game, and will help me to develop my idea further. The proofing stage is when you take all the ideas generated from the ideation stage and check whether or not they are viable. The questions Pickle poses for this stage are as follows. What is our estimated cost to develop this game? Do we have the technological capabilities to build it? Will we require a new gaming engine? How big will our team need to be? Are we hiring external voice actors and writers? What is our estimated time frame for launch? How are we monetizing it? Loot boxes are probably not the best way. I don't think that most of these questions will benefit me to answer in this project, i.e. cost, team monetization, etc. Due to the nature of this being a college project, most of the questions are either answered already or not applicable. Despite this, I will review the questions to find what I will find useful in the planning stage. Looking at Bramble's list, many of the points are similar, meaning I can combine the two sets of questions into one and answer them more efficiently. The questions are: what genre will your game be? Will it be 2D or 3D? What art style will you use? What gameplay mechanics do you want to include? Who's the hero and who's the villain? And which game engine will you use? What Bramble expands upon more than Pickle is the importance of the planning stage, as what is decided upon now should be the final idea once you've gone through all necessary iterations, lest you risk causing problems with development. Bramble uses the example of Conker's Bad Fur Day, which was originally planned to be more child-friendly to reflect the games that inspired it, like Super Mario 64, but during development it was changed to have a more mature satirical tone, which caused some friction between the team and 2 extra years of delay. There is a lot of overlap between planning and pre-production, as they both involve developing ideas so that they will work when it comes time for production to start. The key difference between the two is that planning is more focused on idea generation, and in pre-production, to gain a sense of how the game appears, the team does concept art, storyboards, and sketches. This stage establishes the tone and direction of the game and builds the groundwork for production. From Piskanov's quote, I understand that this section will involve most of the practical work for the planning side of the game, creating the concept art and the GDD especially. De Guzman separates the process of concept art into 3 stages: brainstorming, sketching, and finalizing. The brainstorming stage is heavily informed by the planning stage, as the concept artist must understand the project and the vision in order to create a successful concept. The sketching stage is very self-explanatory. The concept artist creates rough drafts informed by the brainstorming, experimenting with various designs, color schemes, and compositions. These rough sketches are often done on paper and enhanced with digital art software, i.e. Photoshop. The finalization stage is where the sketches are developed and refined to create a polished, comprehensive visual representation of the idea. For creating GDDs, Nuclino recommends 4 key practices often used in modern games design. Keep documentation lightweight, write the GDD collaboratively, the GDD should evolve together with the project, and use visual aids. The documentation should be lightweight because it will be easier to read, and it's possible that the game idea changes drastically or gets scrapped entirely. So keeping the writing to a minimum will ensure that you won't have to rewrite as much if something like this happens. Writing the GDD collaboratively would ensure that each member of the team fully understands what is happening and what is expected of them. This won't be something that I can do for this project as I'm working solo, but it will be important to remember in the future. The GDD should evolve with the project, meaning that every time something is changed, added, removed, etc., the GDD should reflect this, as it will only be useful if it's up to date. Using visual aids will help to convey ideas better than a wall of text, and can be used in conjunction with the text, or on their own. This is something that I'll do for planning documentation in this project, as it will help me to understand what I need to do, and make different points stand out more, allowing for easier navigation. The production stage is where everything comes together to create the game. Prots explains 5 substeps of this stage: coding the game mechanics and features, creating 3D models and assets, developing levels and environments properly is crucial to game design process, integrating audio and visual elements, and continuous optimization is a key game development stage. The heart of the production stage lies in coding the game mechanics and features. This quote means that coding is the most important part of production, as you can have art assets, SFX, or whatever else, but without code, it is not a game. With this in mind, and with prior experience of whiteboxing, I will start the production stage by creating a working whitebox of my game demo before I make any of the assets. Creating art assets, such as 3D models, animations, textures, etc., comes next. This is informed by the concept art from pre-production. As such, I will move on to this as quickly as I can once the white box is done. I feel that level design is something that will happen mostly during whiteboxing, and adding the visual aspects will be a part of art implementation. This substage includes iterative testing, which takes place as the levels are being developed, to check they are playable and work as intended. There will be more of this in the testing stage, but it is important to test your game throughout development. I only plan to implement a small few audio elements into my game, as that's not the focus of my project. Visual elements, however, will be important, so I will take care to ensure everything works as I intend it to during this stage. Optimization is a very important part of game design, and involves improving load times, performance, etc. It takes place near the end of production. For this project, I doubt I'll have much time to optimize the game. The testing stage is done in conjunction with other stages. As a new part of the game is made, it should be tested to make sure that it works as intended. This is supported by this quote: "It's arguably incorrect to call testing a phase in and of itself, as testing lasts throughout several stages of the development pipeline. It is important to test alongside other stages to ensure each test has clear results that can be easily amended. If you were to test only once at the end of production, you would get swamped with problems that need fixing." ICSI explains multiple forms of testing. The two that will be relevant to my project are explained below. These are functionality testing and focus group testing. Functionality testing is when you need to test whether everything is working as intended, such as mechanics, gameplay issues, visual glitches, etc. This will be important for me to test, as I'll need my game to function well for the demo. Focus group testing is to ensure that the game is enjoyable by players and it can retain their attention. It also helps to get an outside eye on the game, as they may find things that you would miss, such as unfun gameplay, typos, bugs that you didn't come across, etc. The pre-launch stage is when you do your final testing, release alpha builds of the game, create marketing, and interact with the community. Alpha builds of the game will get people playing, which is advertising, and it will be another form of playtesting. There are many ways of interacting with the community. You can attend conventions, create a Discord server, answer questions on social media, etc. All of which helps grow the community, getting the game out to more people, and building up a good relationship with players. Spreading the word about the game and getting people interested is crucial this close to launch for both big and small titles. The launch stage is when you get your game out into the world by publishing on game sites, the best of which being Steam, itch.io, and the Epic Games Store. It's common that you begin to receive feedback on the game at this time, and you can start noting what you should make a priority during the post-launch stage of the development process. During this stage, you should find ways to communicate with your community, i.e. game reviews, Discord server, social media, etc., so that you can take note of what the player base thinks of your game, so you know what to improve upon in post-production. Just because the game is now released doesn't mean that you're done with it yet. Good developers will continue to listen to feedback from players to make the game better and more successful over time during the post-launch window. This means that if you or your community discover any bugs, issues, things to improve, etc., you should go back and fix them. You can also develop new content for the game, for example, DLCs or free updates, to keep older players coming back. It is also important to keep marketing the game for a while, as many people will still not have heard of your game, so more advertisement means more players, for at the very least a few months after your game's release.